Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your animated satirical hosts. Joining me as always is our other animated satirical host, Beth Martin. Beth, the pleasure as always. What's the crack?
You need to work on your enunciation today, my friend.
I wonder if I threw an extra R into satirical there. I did. I think that was the problem. Satirical. Satirical. I gotta do some. If you tell people what the crack is with you, I'm gonna do some exercises.
Yes, your quiet vocal warm ups. I got an inflatable sup, which is a stand up paddleboard.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
But it's like one of those cool ones. It's like also a backpack, so you can, and it comes.
Ooh.
It's like it was $129 US, so it's like
it's good.
That's nothing. It's like
it is. Yeah, it's true.
It's going out to lunch here. And it comes with a pump, it comes with an oar, it comes with the board, it comes with the backpack, and then like extra fins. And I had another one that I had for probably like 4 or 5 years, and it was finally like it popped last year, and it was like definitely don't recommend getting on a popped sup and trying to like go anywhere or do anything.
Oh, did it pop while you were out?
Yeah, I mean, it was like a slow leak, but it definitely matters, I will say.
Yes.
So we're headed to the Society Islands tomorrow. And we're trying to get all of our stuff into 3 bags for 4 people, which is hilarious. Because my husband is like, he likes traveling and camping like he's at home, so he's like, he brings his own knives, he brings the apple core, he brings the pizza cutter. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. He brings his own laundry soap, he brings his own soap that's like all antibacterial, he brings his own pillow, he brings his own towels, and then he complains about why we have so much shit.
Well, you have to. Do you know what I mean? It completes the experience. I'd say you're doing all that, you know. Do you have those things? I'm sure you do, where you can like put your bags and then you like attach a like vacuum cleaner to them and it like sucks all the air out.
Yes,
like,
vacuum packer.
Yes, is that what they're called? Yeah. But like, I mean,
we do.
It doesn't help with the weight issue at all, but it gives you a bit more space. It makes the weight issue worse. But
no, he like goes and buys like all of the special folding. He has like all of the folding things for his shirts. Like, you should see. I don't even know what he has. He probably brought like 2 pairs of board shorts and like 2 t-shirts. And then he's going to be like, I'm cold. But his like, it's like maybe 8 inches tall. That's like everything he needs to shove in because he's like master packer.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah. It's a little nuts. And like when I came to see you, he's like, do you want to use the packing stuff? And I was just like, no. I don't need like
no, thank
the
you.
little like container for my cords, and like it's all he like buys into all the travel.
I love it.
Accoutrement.
Travel hacking.
Yeah. Or is it?
Yeah, well, exactly. At that point, whenever you're like half the space is filled with your gadgets, you have to ask yourself. I love it.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
Yeah, so I have I spent some time visiting friends the weekend, which was lovely, much needed. I think I talked about it last weekend, just a few weekends stuck in the house for a variety of reasons and needed to get away, so it was very welcome. And they actually had some sun, which was nice, so it was good just to be away, get a wee bit of sun. They actually had, so they have built 2, they call them pods. They're essentially freestanding rooms where I would say at least one full wall, one of the long walls and one of the shorter walls are all windows essentially, facing, because they have like a lakefront view basically. So they've built these and they're renting them out on Airbnb and a variety of other sort of places. So it's which has been really nice, and it's been good for them because it's allowing them to I think long term they hope to maybe move into that as the model for, you know, for how they live rather than, you know, stressful real jobs. I'm doing air quotes around real jobs. So yeah, it was great. So, but it was interesting to see that kind of in full swing and the kind of the work they're having to do for that. But for part of it, they were trying to get they bought a drone, and they wanted to get like a drone kind of flyover shot, and neither one of them wanted to really fly the drone because they were worried they would make a crash. So I was like, oh, me, let me fly a drone.
How was
So I
it?
flew a drone. It was good. I flew it for the first time, but it was light, and it was very tricky to get what they were looking for because, you know, you're by a lock or a lake or whatever. Wind is going to be strong. This thing's pretty light, so even getting it to stay in one place
Just
was tricky.
steady.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you
but
don't
it was
want
good.
like the overview to be like someone's watching it and like feeling seasick or drunk.
No,
Yeah.
but it's like it is also scary because you're using somebody else's piece of equipment and the thing is gradually getting pulled towards the lake and you're like, oh, and you're like, okay, crash landing, crash landing.
Mm.
But it was nice. It was a fun experience. I'd always wanted to fly a drone, so it was nice to try one.
It's interesting. Mike's work. This was a while ago, maybe like I don't know, 7 or 8 years. They got like one of the like corporate, not corporate, but like yeah, probably corporate drone. But there are rules here in the States for like businesses that own drones. You actually have to have your pilot's license in order to
Oh,
fly because you've got to like be aware of airspace or I don't know what
interesting.
yeah. So they actually like paid for his coworker to get his pilot's license to fly the drone. And I was
Like,
like, that's fucking sweet.
is it a specific drone pilot license? Yeah, is it a different? It's a distinction between that and let's say like a light airplane or
No, he
whatever.
actually had to learn to fly a plane.
Wild.
I know. I know.
Wow.
So I'm like,
Okay.
maybe they'll pay for you to learn how to fly.
Hell yeah.
But he's
How does
like,
Mike feel about that?
not really very positive at all. He's like, no, 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 no.
No, thank you. Love it. Yeah. No, it was an interesting experience, I must say, and yeah, I definitely would like to try more. I'd like to try a bigger one now, honestly.
That's
Because
how
it
it
was
starts,
nice.
Andy. And then you're
I
going to be
know.
delivering for Amazon.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say that could be good, but I'm sure they'd pay me like I'd probably get worse pay than the drone. I probably.
Be like, we spend $50,000 on this drone, and you get yeah,
You get $5 an hour, and I'm like,
right.
but I'm in the UK. It's like it's $5 an hour. Take it or leave it. I'll take it. Okay, I need the money. Um, yeah. So the other thing I mentioned to Beth before we started was that it's Comic Con this weekend. We were
Mm-hmm.
both talking about this. It's going to date us a little, but I think it's something that's relevant to both of us, so we wanted to talk about it. So they announced this weekend at Comic Con that Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the MCU as Doctor Doom, which is interesting.
I mean,
I
I'm gonna be honest.
uh-huh.
Like when I saw like him come out and like take the mask off and stand there, a part of me was freaking the fuck out.
Yeah,
I was like
100%.
in terms of like showmanship and like absolute surprise and like I wish I have very few like wishes of like God, I wish I had been there. Like I wish I was at Woodstock, right? Part
Yeah,
of me wishes I was in Room H, Hall H
yeah,
for that
absolutely.
experience
Yeah.
and like you know, I'm sure it was like when Steve Jobs was like, "This is an iPhone," and everyone's like, "Ah!" But like
Yeah,
way
yeah,
cooler.
100%.
But also,
I
how can this work?
I like. I think. I mean, I see how it can. Well, like, I mean, the thing. I think taken in isolation, Doctor Doom is one of the more interesting, or is probably one of the most interesting Marvel villains. He's really fun and cool. His like history is really badass. So you want a good actor to play him. So if he's always going to be wearing the mask, it's interesting, right? Because like then it doesn't really matter that he looks like Tony Stark, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I think not in isolation when you look at the bigger picture and you look at like Marvel seem to be scrambling a bit in recent years, like because everything post Endgame hasn't worked out great for them. I mean, there's been some good stuff in there, but like it's not been consistent at all.
No, they're lucky
If
that Ryan Reynolds was so into like doing Deadpool and would not
yes,
let that go
yes,
because that's saving
I
him
like
right
that's
now.
been that's going to be massive for them, and I think will be absolutely huge. So it may give them a wee bit of a lift again. It will give them a bit of a lift again. Um, but what's interesting, I'm not going to talk about. I saw that movie the weekend. I won't talk about it too much because no spoilers. It's interesting
Was
what
it
that
good?
movie. I really liked it because I was a bit apprehensive going into it, but I really enjoyed it actually overall. Um, but I think that this because it's the classic, freaking film executive decision, which is oh shit, things aren't working. What do we do? Just go back to the old well, rather than do you know what I mean? So I'm mixed feelings about it, but I hope it's good. And as I say, I think he will be excellent in that role for sure. How do you feel?
I feel a little like the we use the term nostalgic cash grab a little bit,
Yeah,
and like not that Robert Downey Jr. hasn't done amazing things like in the break, right? Oppenheimer,
yeah,
didn't he win an Oscar for that?
he did.
Look in your mind.
Yes, I think he
Think in your
did.
mind palace
I
garden.
will.
But like he's done other things. He's on a show right now that I can't remember the name of, but like he plays all these different characters, and like I wonder. I think it's probably like having done theater where sometimes you're in a play and it's just the right cast and it makes you feel good.
Yeah,
I think that that may be what's going on with good old Robert Downey Jr. is he probably just wants to like hang out with his friends.
yeah.
Which
This
and get
is
paid for it, right? Which I
completely
don't know.
legit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like, and but like, I mean, because he was the spark that started all
He
this. Like, I mean,
absolutely.
he is really the catalyst that made the MCU kind of potential and made it such a big thing.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
um, yeah,
He floats
yeah,
all boats, I'll say.
he does. He
Yeah.
does. He's incredible. He did win the Academy Award for Oppenheimer, for supporting actor. I'd forgotten that he had actually, but yeah, yeah, he rules.
And he said
Um,
something like along the lines in his speech of like I'd like to thank something it was like the Academy and like drug addiction or something for getting me here or something weird. It was just like so, like I understand my journey has been
yeah,
varied
and I think
and
yeah,
all of you know my shit.
yeah, it's so true. They completely laid bare, like, and I think that's what kind of makes him so interesting. He's not really like trying to, brush that under the carpet. It's just interesting dude. Interesting dude.
Mm-hmm.
Um. So the last thing was that I told Beth. Like, this is another thing I told her before the podcast was that I have my books. I have my flights booked for the United States. Wow, my brain is
Yay!
really bad
It's
today.
fine. I'm here to like fill it in.
Okay.
Whatever
Good.
holes you have, I'm here.
Okay, wow, there's Swiss cheese. But it's great. So we have another like in person live episode today in the future, which is just exciting.
Yay.
So you just got that to look forward to,
I
folks.
know. The kids are like both of them were on the call before we
Yeah,
started recording. They're just like it's so funny. I don't know what they think that we're doing, but they're like amazed that we have stuff on YouTube and like they're like so people all over the world can listen to this and I was like yeah I'm like not many do but they're like are you guys
yeah,
famous and I'm like no but like it's fun and like we do it
yeah.
for the fun of it and like it's I'm trying to like tamper it down a little bit so they don't think like you know
People are gonna see you whenever you're on holiday and be like, "Whoa, are
yeah
you the Beth Martin?"
I know right.
Yeah,
I mean
that'd
I
be
do
nice.
get that but it's just because
Of
of my
course,
personality.
of course, naturally.
Uh,
Yeah.
so we got someone sent in a thing they want us to review a classic wrestling pay-per-view.
Interesting. I wonder who that was. I probably know who
I
that
don't
was.
think you do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a random. Not a random. It's like
Okay.
someone who listens, or yeah. So
Okay. Okay. I mean, like,
I don't know if you
I'm
have
on
time
board
for
for
that.
that. I
Okay.
do. I can make time for that. I mean, like, uh, yeah, let's be selective about which one we go for, because some of them would be hard work.
Right. I was thinking that
But
too. I was like, I don't know, like, yeah,
probably a WrestleMania, so like one of the early WrestleManias or something like
yeah,
that could
yeah,
be have legs.
yeah.
So yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay, all right. Well,
We could put that in the hopper.
throw that out there.
So
Maybe we
that's
could do
our
that
what's
when
it?
you're here and like introduce the kids
Yeah.
to like, no,
Oh
I
no,
feel like
that's not the way to introduce
I'd
them to
rather
kids.
do
Like
something else with my time.
I definitely rather do something else with my time. And like honestly, that will make them never want to watch wrestling ever again. It's
It's
like so
true.
slow and like whereas
I
like
think they'd
the
be like
pace,
horrified.
yes, the pace of modern wrestling is much more exciting.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, most of the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. That's our what's occurring for this week, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, love it. Yeah, I don't have any. No, I don't have any this week.
Okay.
Occurring to me, I don't have a name for this week's episode. I don't know if you've got anything.
Oh, uh,
The one that I was thinking of was just Doe, but I don't know.
I would. It's different in different languages.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah,
okay. So we can't just do that.
I don't know.
Or The Simpsons Did It, which I think is.
Ooh, that's good.
So
Yeah.
that was the one that occurred to me was because like it's such a common one. So okay, we're just going to get into this week's topic, which is we want to talk about The Simpsons. I think
Because
will
who
be interesting.
doesn't?
Well, I mean, who doesn't want to talk about Simpsons, especially old Simpsons? Like, is that it's such a touchstone from both sides of the Atlantic. Like we both kind of love it, and like it's culturally so important. I think so. It'll be interesting to kind of note the differences between our feelings on it. But one of the things, I mean, it's something that we do talk about, but like one of the other things was that in The Simpsons Did It, recent news was that is it House of Pain performed with the London Philharmonic Orchestra recently, which was a joke on The Simpsons
On The
in the
Simpsons.
90s.
Yes.
They
Yes.
just predict these
And
things.
they actually did it. Well, I didn't do any research into their predictions, but it comes up a lot of times where it's like, oh, The Simpsons predicted this like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like Nostradamus, but The Simpsons.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, I think it just speaks to me how talented and how like forward thinking a lot of those writers were, and like they have these potentially goofy ideas that actually do pan out. I mean, I don't know whether it's a damning indictment.
I
of
know. I
our
was
society.
thinking that too. I was like, what does that mean about our society that they can predict like
'Cause-
how bonkers and bananas things can get?
Because like some of the stuff I guess they were writing was like, right, what's some of the dumbest shit we can think of here, and then it's like it's our reality now,
Yeah.
But yeah, so The
So
Simpsons.
yeah. So I guess like there are a lot of ways that we could go about this. But I'm just kind of wondering like, when did you start watching? And
So-
like, what? Yeah, when did you start watching?
So it was the late 90s probably. So basically for a long time. So our relationship with TV, especially in the UK, was that for a long time, I think it's pretty widespread knowledge in the US that we only had like 4 channels, maybe 5.
That is not
Once it
widespread
got
knowledge.
Is it not?
No.
Okay. So we have Channel 1, or BBC 1, BBC 2, ITV, which is number 3, and then Channel 4, which is 4. Channel 4 only arrived in the 80s. We eventually got Channel 5, and it arrived, I think, late 90s. So like those are the TV stations that you can essentially get for free. I'm not going to talk about the BBC license fee. That's a whole other thing. But essentially, what you can get for free.
Okay.
Then, if you wanted more stuff, so that there was a satellite or like a cable sort of service you could buy, and it only became a thing, I think, late 80s, early 90s as well. And it had a lot of premium stuff. And one of the premium things it had was The Simpsons. So it was always something I was deeply jealous of, because like I was aware of The Simpsons, I so desperately wanted to watch it. My parents didn't really want to buy Sky. They had no interest in it, because basically back then all the stuff they were sort of interested in, particularly sport for my dad, was available in those other channels. So I was bitter about this. I
Can
watched
I just
episodes around.
can I just stop you real quick?
Yeah.
So I go over to Andy's. This is completely an aside, but it's just like it's so. I don't know. I think it's such an Irish thing. Like I go to your parents
Mm-hmm.
for dinner when I was
Mm-hmm.
visiting, and like they literally have like. I walk in the living room and everyone's having like beer, wine, or whatever, and like you're
Yeah.
watching sheep herding on TV.
Yeah.
So,
Like that.
does that count
It's
as a
it's.
sport?
I guess it does. It is much more commonly golf, and I
Okay.
guess the reason we was watching that is because there was no golf on,
I
essentially.
just
But
couldn't
yeah, that's
believe it. I was like, is this stereotypical? Maybe?
a little bit. Like I don't think that's fortunately super common in my house, but it's something I've seen before and we'll see again. Absolutely, but like like it's probably just because it's always in the sport, and there's a possibility it was like a competitive sheep herding thing, or
I
like
think so. Yep.
that's so good. I forgot
Sorry.
about that. It's quite alright. So we so like I was desperate for it. Like so, but eventually, as I say, late '90s, I think it was maybe early 2000s, but I think late '90s, Channel 4 got rights to older Simpsons series and played
Okay.
all the. So I'd say probably the first 6, 7 seasons, maybe,
Awesome.
and that's all the good shit, right? So like it was almost appointment viewing. They would show 2 episodes back to back on a certain evening, and it was just I was hooked. I loved it. It was exactly what I hoped it would be, and I just completely fell head over heels for it.
Hmm. So I was like first wave. I
Mm-hmm.
remember seeing the advertisements. I I think it was my dad was like, "This looks interesting. Like we should watch this." So we watched. I remember like the first episode coming out. I think it was like 1989. We had just moved to Oregon, so we actually had TV. It was on. We didn't have cable, so we had like I think like 10 channels,
Mm-hmm.
and just sitting there being like, "This is some." Like it was weird to have a cartoon that my parents would watch with us,
Yeah.
and at the time I didn't understand a lot of like they it's kind of like the way Disney movies like after Shrek, Disney was like, "Oh, we can make movies for adults and kids at the
Yeah.
same time and like have adult jokes intermixed with kid jokes and everyone's happy." And that's kind of what The Simpsons is, I think. They really make it for everybody, and
Absolutely.
the more you watch it, the more you grow with it, right? You're like, "Oh, I get this reference now. I get this reference now,"
Yeah.
which I love, and it's almost like secret code, right?
It totally is, and I mean like the lingo and the certain like like certain jokes and stuff like that are a language in of themselves with
Mm-hmm.
like so many people of a certain age. Do you know what I mean? Like so many
Yeah,
people from my generation, there's just certain things you can say and it immediately evokes that stuff.
yeah.
It's such a universal language as well. Like I mean, it's crazy. It really is, and I'd be like, I think it speaks to the quality of that show, and like I think I think it's great. You're talking about your parents watching it. It really frustrated me because my mom wouldn't give it a chance because she was like, it's a cartoon, so it's scary for kids, and I was like, it's really not. It's the writing is, and I think it probably shaped in terms of how I think about things, how I like absorb content. Like I like read comic books or normal books or cartoons or prestige TV shows interchangeably.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's quality writing everywhere or quality
Mm-hmm.
content everywhere.
And it's interesting looking at the writers that have been like writers for The
Yes,
Simpsons. I mean, they're all the greats, all the greats. Um,
so true.
Even my mom would watch it, and like normally
Yeah.
she would be like vacuuming around me while I would be watching TV, because she hated it when we would watch TV. So it was like a whole thing. And she would actually sit and watch it. And I remember like every year we would be so excited for the Halloween episode to come
Yeah.
out because like they would change the intro and like make it
Yeah.
spooky
And give all the writers horror names and stuff like that, or the voice actors.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally. And it was just like those little like extra things that they would do to make it neat and cool and different and just
Yeah.
they did I will say like they've done something, and obviously like South Park came after and like other things copied that social commentary / cartoon, but the
Yep.
Simpsons manages to do it in a really nice way that isn't
Yeah.
as offensive, I think, and is
It's true.
kinder and
It is.
I just and the lessons they teach, I just love it. I just love all of it.
Oh, I hear you. It's yeah, it's. I think like I mean, I suppose there's understanding. Well, not understanding, but I feel like people don't watch it quite as much as they used to. I know that but I'm told that like recent seasons have been a lot better as in the past couple, but I feel like it really kind of hit a bit of a creative lull that has lasted a long old time, you know. But particularly first maybe 10 to 12 seasons
I was
were
gonna
just
say like probably
as
like
good,
through season 11 or season 12.
like as good a run of TV as you will ever find anywhere, you know. It's pretty incredible stuff.
Do you want to know something that's gonna make you mad?
Yes.
Okay, I have some fun facts.
Uh-huh.
Oh, where is my fact? Oh my god. Hold on.
So
Oh, okay. Matt Groening.
uh-huh.
It looks like groaning, but it's pronounced graining. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
Got many of his characters' last names from street names in Portland, Oregon, his hometown.
Oh,
I win.
nice.
USA.
One
USA.
for Beth. Wow.
Finally.
Well,
Finally.
I'm gonna have Kenneth Branagh to have a word with him.
Shit.
Liam Neeson. He
so
has a special set of skills.
Totally. But like everything in the intro, it's like I recognize this place, like, and
Interesting.
He named it Springfield. Well, yeah, the twin or the cooling towers got destroyed, but
Okay.
I told you that. But yeah, like the most of the characters' last names are based on street names in downtown Portland.
Uh-huh.
And
Wow, that's nuts.
The cooling towers of the nuclear power plant, those were across the river in Washington. And was it not Hanford? I can't remember. There's so many nuclear power plants. I can't remember which one. But
wow.
Tri-Cities? I can't remember. Anyways, they destroyed those and blew them up. And that was like a really cool thing to see because they like did it live and we were all like having explosion parties. But and then the reason that he chose the name Springfield was because there's so many like around the United States.
That's what I've heard. There's basically like a Springfield in every state, isn't there, at least? So it could be in every town sort of
like
thing.
Homer is every man. Yeah, like Springfield is every town.
Yeah.
Which South
good.
Park copied.
It's a good. Yes, it's a good way to be relatable, I think, in that way. But like, you know, I think. I feel like, I mean, you see like season 1 stuff in particular, and you can see it. Like, it's, you know, like every show, it was wobbly to begin with, and I think even they didn't fully find the characters of all the family until maybe season 2, maybe season 3, you know. But like then it was just off to the races, like it really was.
Yeah. So I was thinking through like, you know, my favorite characters. And what happens, it's like I don't necessarily remember like, oh, this episode was about, and these are all the things that happened. It's like I remember like certain things and I apply them to my life, right?
Yeah.
So like Grandpa Simpson, there's this quote. I'm going to read it to you. It's really long. I'm sorry, but it's Grandpa Simpson.
No, do it.
Okay, we can't bust heads like we used to, but we had our ways. One trick is to tell them stories that don't go anywhere, like the time I got the ferry over to Shelbyville. I needed a new heel for my shoe, so I decided to go to Morganville, which is what they called Shelbyville in those days. So I tied an onion to my belt, which was a style at the time. Now, to take the ferry, it cost a nickel. In those days, nickels had pictures of bumblebees on them. Give me 5 bees for a quarter, you'd say. Now, where were we? Oh, yeah. The most important thing was that I had an onion tied to my belt, which was the style at the time. And they didn't have white onions because of the war. The only thing you could get was those big yellow ones. And it's like, anytime anyone's rambling, right? I'm
That's
like,
what you think of?
this is Grandpa Simpson talking about nothing.
Yeah, it's so like he there was they did that so expertly. Like it was so like the one the one that I think of. I can't think of the speech, but I remember it was an episode where Grandpa Simpson was talking about his war days, where
Yes.
him and like his squad had like hidden this German art, and him and Bart were like looking for it. So good. I can't like those quotes in particular, those like rambles are just so are so like incoherent but so perfectly designed, right?
Right. And like this is a quote that I like didn't remember in its entirety, but I sometimes will be like, and I had an onion tied in my belt, which was the style at the time. Like I remembered that, right? Maybe because he repeated it twice or three times, but like that character, I don't know. There's something about him, and like I don't know.
Yeah, he's fantastic. The thing that I remember most clearly about him was whenever there was like a house of ill repute, and Bart was working the door, and he walks in, puts his hat down, sees Bart, turns around, puts his hat on, walks back. It's just so beautifully observed. I what I'm immediate because like they've had some amazing like celebrity guests over the years, and the one that like I think and it really sells the Simpsons appreciates that like dumb shit is funny, do you know what I mean, and it embraces, but also like it can be high minded at times. And the Leonard Nimoy one was amazing. Where like I can't remember. I think it was an eclipse or something like happening, and like he does this whole thing about like the cosmic ballet plays on, and then this guy standing at a hot dog stand. He's like, "Hey Spock, what do you want in your dog?"
Like shut up.
Just like yeah, it's like okay.
So there's an episode, I think it's season 2, it doesn't matter. It's the Mr. Bergstrom episode where Lisa has a teacher that she like her teacher like goes out, she has like lupus or something, Lyme disease. And so she gets a substitute and it's Mr. Bergstrom, and like it's the first teacher that she sees her, thinks she's intelligent, gives her stuff to read, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So little known fact, Mr. Bergstrom was played by who was
it's a famous actor. I know.
Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman.
He did not want to be credited because he didn't want to be in a air quoting cartoon. So he is actually listed in the credits as Sam. Scratch everything I just said. Sam-itism, like Semitism.
Okay.
Like I'm Jewish, and so is my character. But at the very end, like this made such an impact on me. So I was probably like 10 maybe when this came out, 10 or 11. It made such an impact on me because she's like chasing after him, and he's like, like he's getting on the train. She's like, I'm just going to run next to the train and cry. And is that okay? And he's like, of course. And before he gets on, he's like, anytime you are feeling alone and you feel like, you don't know what to do or you need someone, he writes something on this piece of paper and he hands it to her, and then he gets on the train and she cries, and then she opens the piece of paper and it says, "You are Lisa Simpson." So every time I finish a journal, it's like you always want to put something poignant on the last page, and I always write, "You are Lisa Simpson."
I love it.
I was going through one the other day and I was like, there it is.
As I finish these things.
Yep.
It's such a cracker one. Yeah. So much good stuff from back then. Like, I think the question that I had, well, I mean, Okay, because and the reason why I thought about I was thinking about the Leonard Nimoy guest appearance in particular was that he was on the monorail episode, which
Monorail.
yeah, just such an all timer,
That
such
was
a brilliant
Marge versus the
concept.
monorail, right?
March versus the monorail
Yes.
was and it's just such an incredible premise. And it was a Conan O'Brien written episode, I'm pretty sure, because
Okay,
it was just
fact.
so.
Fact. Are
Uh
you
huh.
ready? On
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien's first day as part of the writing staff for The Simpsons, a bird flew on the window and killed itself.
Wow.
I know.
A damning
Happy
omen.
first day. Okay, and then we get
Mm-hmm.
monorail.
Yeah, it's just an incredible piece of work. Like
Yeah.
you know, um, yeah, like but I mean, it's just such a like Titanic episode, and I don't know that I can. It's another one that just is. Seems like to live in people's brains, like that whole thing. Like for me, a lot of other Simpsons things comes from like specific moments or specific lines, but it's just seared into my brain almost from beginning to end. Like it's just, and I think it's like it really speaks to something that probably both sides, but both in the UK, both in America, like this kind of wonderful con man who comes in with a nice story. You're like, oh yeah, okay, this sounds nice.
It's like the
Let's
Music
just do
Man,
this.
right?
Yeah.
Do you ever like the musical? Like progress is coming, like the Wells Fargo wagon is a coming down.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, yeah, that he's a good con man too.
He has a good
Was that
con
Troy
man.
McClure?
No, it was a different guy altogether. But
Okay.
I think it was what was his name? I'll find.
It's fine. I'm wondering if that's who they based Troy McClure off of, or no one. Well, someone's gonna clarify that. Bendy's let us know. Okay, so you were talking
Yeah.
about like guest stars. So do you remember there was an episode where Maggie said they're trying to get Maggie to talk,
Yes.
and she says her first word, and her first word was daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who
And it
says?
was
Do you know who?
yeah.
It's Elizabeth fucking Taylor.
Yeah. That rules. I like. A joke that nobody will find out about, basically. Like, and very few people do. It was like, it was not, I don't think it was put in the credits or anything like that. It's just, it's exactly the sort of ridiculousness I love. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there is 0 point in them doing that, but it's also completely perfect. Because, like, Maggie's still a baby, right? And still doesn't speak, right? As far as I know, in terms of,
Maggie's
like, recent...
still, yeah, she's, I mean, they don't
Yeah.
age. They don't age.
Yeah,
It's not
they
like,
don't,
like
that's
Bart
true.
is always going to be 10. But
Yeah.
Matt Groening is the sucking sound that Maggie makes. That's Matt Groening.
Amazing. So good.
I love it.
Do you
So
have...
go ahead.
I was going to ask, do you have a character that you particularly relate to or associate with?
Oh, that's a good question.
Shall I tell you mine while you're thinking about it?
Yeah.
So the character I was related to is, he was only in one episode. He was called Smitty. And he was essentially went to work in the power station, and he was like a real kind of audience surrogate character, where he was like, couldn't believe how dumb Homer was, that he had a job, that he worked in a nuclear power plant, and was just like getting so exasperated by it. It's like, whoa, what? Why is this guy working here? And then like the very end of that episode, there is a competition for children to design a new nuclear power station, and Homer enters, and he's like so angry about this because like Homer has essentially just built a model of the power station and put wings on the side of
And
the
everyone's
stacks.
like, this is...
and then he's like, and Smitty's like furious. He's like, look, it's Simpsons. He's in a competition with children, and everybody's and like Lenny or Carl or basically goes, yeah, and he bashed their brains in, and everyone's like, yeah, Homer, and then they carry him out. It's so good.
I think I probably identify with Lisa Simpson.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, just because she's, well, everything I am. She's intelligent.
Of course. Mm-hmm. She plays
She's
saxophone.
funny. She plays a saxophone, which I don't do. right? But like, I just her striving for, I don't know. She's like in a family where it's easy to, like, when you have Bart in your family, right? Like, how do you get
Yeah.
overlooked? And so trying to find, like, she's always trying to find her place in the world.
Yeah.
Um there was that episode with Michael Jackson
Yeah.
where he's
Mm-hmm.
playing like the guy from the psych ward that's white that thinks he's Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
but it's actually Michael Jackson's voice. But fun
Mm-hmm.
fact, like, based on his like contractual obligations, he wasn't actually allowed to sing the song Happy Birthday Lisa. That was an impersonator. Um but
Wild.
just like these episodes where she kind of goes outside the family and like has experiences with other people and creates friendships with other
Yeah.
people. Like, I not that I identify with that, but I like watching those episodes a lot. um
Absolutely.
yeah.
Love it.
I
That's a
will
good one.
say though, like, I identify with every single one of them in some way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And because they all feel very real. Like, and I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things. As ridiculous as they are, there's an authenticity to every character in
Yeah.
there that is just, I don't know. It's just, it's very, very, you feel such connection with it. Like, I
Yeah.
think, and, this is a Simpsons episode. We're going to talk about the Simpsons, but like, in recent years, and I can't speak to the recent sort of Simpsons seasons because I just haven't watched them, but like, Bob's Burgers has given that to me because it feels like such an authentic family, and like they're all
Mm-hmm.
like ridiculous, and but they all. What I really like about them is that they drive each other absolutely fucking crazy, and this is also true of the Simpsons. But like you can tell they all love each other
Yeah.
ultimately,
Yeah.
and I think there's something really kind of magical about that. It acknowledges the wholeness of that truth.
Mm-hmm. I will also say it's interesting watching The Simpsons kind of grow up over time, where they retire characters
Yeah.
based on what's happening in the world. Um, I think Homer no longer chokes Bart.
Oh, does he not? Okay, interesting.
Based on, yeah, what's kind of happening over time. And so it's like they stay there, the essence of who they are stays the same, but they're willing to change in
Yeah.
order to um I don't
Just
know how to
being
say this the right way, but it's
well.
like the everything needs to adapt and adjust,
Yeah.
cuz and they're able to do that even though it's a freaking cartoon.
Which is good and a lesson that could be learned by some people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it is because like it can be easy to stick your heels in the mud and be like, no, this is just the way it is. But like
Totally.
it's not. Like change is unavoidable, like in all things. So like it's good that they actually acknowledge it and kind of do something with it.
Yeah. And I I will say though, like, probably one of my favorite characters. I love Troy McClure for
Yes.
obvious reasons. I love fucking Sideshow Bob as a
Yes.
nemesis. He's so good. And like the Cape Fear episode where it's like Sideshow Bob and it's like Cape Fear and like mashed together, um,
Yes.
still cracks me up. And like like when he laughs and everything, like thunder and lightning and like his hair, it's just like, I don't even know. Like, how do
Oh,
you come
or
up
like
with
just like
yeah.
he like the fact that he was essentially a clown and like him like walking through all these rakes and kept getting hit in the head by the rakes. And I also kind of like he's clearly an intelligent guy, and the fact that he's voiced by Kelsey Grammer is
Yes.
perfect.
Yes.
But like in that Cape Fear episode, he's written a message and it says "Die Bart die," and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, what have you written this for?" And he goes, "No, no, no, it's the German, the Bart, the," and everybody's like, "Oh, okay, fine."
I totally forgot about that.
Such good stuff.
So, what has The Simpsons given to us, like, as a society, do you think?
I think it is because I remember, and obviously there was episodes about this where like it was criticized by the George Bush Senior criticized it, I believe, whenever like it first came out and was like, we need
Family
more
values.
we need more families like the Waltons instead of The Simpsons or something like that. It was something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but like I think that's what is so kind of why it's good, because like yes, it's a cartoon, but it embraces despite being a cartoon, it embraces something a bit closer to reality, which that there are no perfect families. There is conflict, and but there can still be love within that, because I think that, kind of living up to the ideals of, and I did watch the Waltons, and like, certainly there was some bad stuff happening there, but it was not a realistic look at life. I doubt it was a realistic look at prairie life. I don't know, but I'm guessing not. So I think that is what's great. It kind of shows you a, warts and all version of a family that still kind of makes its way through these kind of problems, as ridiculous as they would be at times.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I think like being part of a family unit and approaching things with as much humor as possible is like the way to go about doing it, because there are like, right, every family has hard times, every family has issues, but like the more you can laugh about it and like find the humor in it, then the easier it is, and like the better off everyone is. I also remember, funny that you were talking about George Bush Sr. I remember being in school and like Simpsons t-shirts were banned because they were like, everyone was saying
This is lowbrow nonsense.
Like, we don't, Bart saying don't have a cow man or whatever, like, was terrible.
Can you imagine?
And then like 5 years later, everyone was wearing Big Johnson t-shirts. Did you have those?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yes, we did. We didn't have those, but they would have been available whenever I was like in Florida and stuff like that. I was like, whoa, what's this?
Yeah. I remember dudes wearing those in middle school, and I'm like, who are your parents?
Yes.
Letting you wear these
double
shirts?
Standards there. Oh, staggering. But like, I think I remember my friend making a homemade from the kind of George Bush episode. He does this like sign that says "Two Bad Neighbors," and it's got a picture of Bart and Homer, and it's really a really bad drawing of them both. And my friend did such a good version of this in a marker pen and a white t-shirt.
I draw my own.
Yeah, it's so good.
I remember I bought my dad one, and it was like, I didn't do it. You can't. Nobody saw me do it. You can't prove anything.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I remember there was one episode, because like every episode, Bart is writing something different on the chalkboard. Again, fucking love it. And one of them said like, "I'm not a 32-year-old woman," which at the time was how old?
Lisa Year or Yeardley Smith?
Cartwright.
No. Cartwright. Lisa. Yes.
Was when she was voicing. Yeah, so Bart is voiced by a woman. Do you want more fun facts? These are good.
Yes, please.
Mo's telephone number, is 764-84377, which is obviously like one digit more than the usual US phone number, but the number actually spells out Smithers.
Nice, I love it.
Homer's email, chunkylover53@aol.com, was actually registered, and like you would get an automated response. So right before I hopped on with you, I just like sent it an email, but they've taken it down.
Taking it down, yeah.
But someone still has that at The Simpsons. Like they still have it. It's just like I can't register for it.
Yeah.
Somebody has it.
So like Matt Selman, who is the current showrunner, was on a podcast episode I was listening to recently, and he was saying that like, because like Homer used to have like a Twitter account or an X account, and most of that stuff has just went by the wayside over recent years, unfortunately. It's just an extra sort of like,
I love this is so like playing into that a little bit. I love right now what's happening with marketing around movies that are coming out. Like it started with Barbie, but it's like they did such a good job promoting that movie before it came out, and I'm noticing it with Wolverine and Deadpool. Like the clever things that they're doing in order to get the word out, and like the little inside jokes and everything that we kind of pick up on, kind of don't. Like I love all that stuff, and I wish like The Simpsons would continue to be part of that
I,
because it's so great. They
it
have the
is.
writers.
They do, and I think like, and it's I do keep meaning to go back and kind of start watching.
I'm
Probably maybe
totally
not
going
all the
to.
seasons, but like recent seasons at least. Anyway, I have been meaning to like check it out, but because like because I know over time, Matt Groening and stuff like that had talked about stopping it, and part of me wishes that they had, but like again, I only know that like whenever I stopped watching it, it just wasn't the same for me. But like clearly there's an audience for it, and I hope that they're still enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start at the very beginning with the kids and just go
Yeah,
all
that's
the
a good
way,
idea.
I think. And it's like I think I stopped watching it right around the time that the movie came out, and I was like
Mm.
stoked for the movie, and then it was kind of like, oh, like you had 2 hours to like do something amazing, and I
Yeah,
was disappointed. Like the flying
yeah, because
pig
that
was
was,
great, but
yes, because it was 2007, I think,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. So I guess yeah, I watched it for quite a while.
I think that'll be about the same for me actually. So like quite a bit, I would guess. But it's such a good show. I like a few other just things because I just written down stuff that I love. Like, and I just love like the one of the jokes that sticks in my head. It's the dumbest stuff that sticks in my head. So, for example, one time when Homer was caddying for Mr. Burns, and he goes, "Simpson, an open face club, a sandwich," and Homer goes, "Open face club sandwich." That's just such a perfect joke.
Yes,
It's so dumb.
yes.
But it's just so perfect. It really is.
And it's like you have to
Um,
listen to every word, right? It's so
yeah,
fast, it's so rapid pace. You just like you miss it. You've gotta listen. You've got to try and catch it. Um,
oh,
so there
eh,
was one episode. It was I think it was Lisa the vegetarian, and it was like, do you remember there was like a it was an urban legend, and I can't remember if like we can look at Snopes to find out if it's true or not, but that if you play one of the Beatles albums backwards, it's like basically like satanic, and it's them like
yeah.
giving you like the recipe for calling Satan or something. So the Lisa the Vegetarian episode, they play a record backwards, and it's actually Paul McCartney reading a recipe for lentil soup.
Amazing.
I know.
That's
Like who
great,
thinks
as it
of that?
should be.
Like someone was sitting in a room and they were like, "I got an idea. Let's do it this."
McCartney probably loved that.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
My other because you're talking about Troy McClure, so I do love a Rainier Wolfcastle. The
Yes.
kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger version they have in their universe, and
Based on Rainier Beer, which was a Pacific Northwest beer.
oh,
Yeah.
didn't know that.
And Mount Rainier, which is in.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wolfcastle's such a great second name. Rainier's great. Rainier's I really like a lot, but the one I
I'm
remember
like,
is
it's a
like Pete.
beer. It's also Mountain.
Okay, yeah,
Sorry.
but the beer
Just
comes
out of
first.
order, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it depends on your priority. Uh, and one time, whenever somebody was like, about the acting choices he made, he goes, "How do you sleep at night?" And he goes, "On on a bed of money, surrounded by many beautiful women." It's great. The perfect response. And the
It
guy's just
is.
like, "Oh yeah, so good."
It is good. Um, so I guess Banksy was in a 2010 episode. He did
Okay.
a for the opening sequence. He did a montage
Mm-hmm.
that showed children and animals slaving in a hellish underground sweatshop to produce the Simpsons memorabilia.
Oh, I remember seeing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were like, "All right," and so I got the quote, and it said, "Of the bold move, the Simpsons showrunner Al Jean told the New York Times, well, I haven't been fired yet, so that's a good sign." There's
I
the gold
mean,
standard.
that's speaks volumes. Just the kind of people that are working on that show and are like aren't afraid to be like make fun of that, make fun of the process, make fun of all of it. As which is exactly what you want. You want that kind of fearlessness, and I suppose it only comes from a show that has that much cachet that is essentially untouchable. They can probably get away with basically anything as long as they're making money. Really.
Yeah, but I feel like they're careful with it.
Yes, I think they are.
Yeah. And there's, I like comparing The Simpsons to South Park. It's like, it's like you can't, right? It's like,
Yeah.
but I feel like you never hear someone being like, wow, they parodied me on The Simpsons and that really hurt my feelings, right?
It's true.
As opposed to South Park, where like you do get people that are like, that really kind of hurt. Yeah. Like,
I feel like with South Park though, they go scorched earth all too often, where they're
they
just
do.
like, they obliterate you, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I guess I'm a soft human, and I can find the funny, but it's still at the same time, there's usually someone on the other end of it that's like getting their feelings hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I don't, you know, if it's something
sometimes
like Kanye
it's deserved.
West,
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, if it's something like Kanye West, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But like I, you know, I have various other people. Like there was one, and like, you know, not that I particularly care about this person, but like, you know, certain, like I remember Snooki getting completely devastated, and it's like, you know, she's just on a reality TV show. She probably doesn't deserve to be completely destroyed in that way.
I'm gonna remind
You
you
know.
that she's like the only undefeated wrestler.
Oh yes, of course,
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Snooki.
And apparently, like she has really kind of like
I think
got
she
her
only,
life together.
yeah, she did, but she's only wrestled once and never again. So it's,
There you go. Well, that's all that matters.
that's all.
At the end
You're
of the
like,
day.
that's fine. Those rules stand.
Those stats still add up. Like, yeah. There's no there's no misinformation there. It's all very clear. But yeah. Do you have any other thoughts as well, just before we start wrapping this up?
Just that I think, at least for me, like it's worth revisiting. Like
Yeah, I think so
I just
too.
found out that because we have Disney Plus and every single season is on Disney Plus,
Yeah.
and like I'm always like, God, what am I gonna watch with the kids? It's not gonna be like completely mind numbing.
Yeah.
So I think this is gonna be our thing for a long years, forever.
Yeah. I
We're
think
at
that's
what,
a good
32
one.
or 33 seasons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like what, 25 episodes a season?
Yeah.
You're it's a long haul.
Yeah.
It's really good comfort food, and I will really be interested as you go through this, get your thoughts on it as like, you know, you get into later seasons, because it is just to see whether it does hold it, because like I'd say that regardless of, you know, there'll still be good episodes. I'm sure there still will be as time goes on, you know. So yeah, that's nice. Yeah, but I love it. It's so great. It's so, and as I say, it's so important. It is so in so many groups of my friends. It's still something that comes up occasionally here or there, those jokes, you know, and I think that's something that's it really kind of marks it as an important thing in our culture, you know, and I think that's so true everywhere.
And it's nice just to have continuity and longevity in something.
It is.
So
It is. Absolutely.
even though we don't watch it, knowing that it's there is comforting and makes me
It's
happy.
true.
Isn't that weird?
It is. It's true. It is. I know. I know what you mean. There is something human about that, I think, isn't there? The knowing that something continues on.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I hope they
I like it.
never stop making it until
Yeah,
like
me too.
after I'm dead.
Yeah. It survive as long as the
So
Simpsons
let's get
survives.
at least, 80.
The death of the universe.
Yeah.
You're still.
Put all the tapes on on the moon.
All tapes on the moon, you know, put them in some sort of quantum computer or
Right,
something. Yeah,
right.
you know, whatever.
Right.
You'll figure it out. I'll leave that to the techie guys.
So here's
yeah,
to Blinky.
Yeah, indeed. So, moving on to our final section of the podcast. Beth, what has been bringing you joy this week?
Normally I pre-plan this. Well, did I tell you? Did I tell you I finished Barbara Streisand?
You did.
Okay. Joy down in my heart. Where?
Do you want me to do mine?
Yes.
While you're thinking about this?
Yes.
Okay. So I did, and I'm not going to, no spoilers, but I saw the Deadpool Wolverine movie and it was good. I think I was a bit apprehensive about it because I thought, I've never been a crazy fan of Deadpool as a comic book character. I've always thought it was a bit try hard. There's been some comics that were good, especially the early stuff, but then it became a wee bit like all fourth wall breaking sort of bullshit, and I kind of have limited patience for that. But this was good and was actually surprisingly a bit of a love letter to kind of older superhero movies in a way that I didn't expect. But I just want to talk about it generally. So, but I really quite enjoyed it. The other thing, and it is connected to the whole superhero thing that is obviously my lifelong obsession, is that I've been playing the most recent Spider-Man video game.
Okay.
And, you know, I kind of love unique video game experiences, and there is something how like Spider-Man moves, how he like travels around the world is so unique compared to anything else, and it is so satisfying just like swinging through a city and like and especially whenever you kind of figure it out and you get good at it, how effortlessly you're swinging through things and you're dodging stuff and you're like leaping towards stuff and bouncing off it. It's pretty magical, and like. Me being such a colossal Spider-Man nerd, it is very, very satisfying, and it's making me very happy recently. So yeah, that's been bringing me joy.
I was watching was it The Amazing Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm.
With what's his name? The guy
Garfield. Yeah, Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield, and I think the way he moves is the most like accurate to the comic books than the other two.
There's a few scenes in particular that were just bang on. Like there's an early scene, I think the first or the second one, that's just perfect in terms of his movement.
Like you could like pause it and like go get the comic book and be like, "Yep," like literally. Yes. And I appreciate that effort.
I think that is my major issue with the recent Spider-Man movies is that they really don't even attempt that in any major way. No. Like there's none of that sort of kinetic movement scenes, and I really miss that because I feel like the first series of films and the second series of films really made an effort with that, and it really paid off.
Yeah, and I think I get like, I mean, no offense to any like Tom Holland who's listening, hey buddy, of course. But I think they try and focus more on like making him, I don't know, making you feel like, oh, that could be me, like he's every teen, every young adult kind of thing, and relatable. Yes. Which I totally appreciate because it's Tom Holland, he's completely relatable. But at the same time, I do appreciate the,
There's something about the like, I don't know if it's a power fantasy necessarily, but I suppose it is. But like, there's something about the joy in that movement that I think is I think it's so fundamental to the character, because like he is such a kind of. A lot of bad shit in his life, but he also in the face of it is goofy and kind of likes to have fun. So I think that's what's so integral to him as a character.
And you do get a lot of like more serious heroes, and I appreciate
yes you do.
I'm all about the funny. Okay, so I guess I'm enjoying House of Dragons finally.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the episode last night, whatever, there's dragons.
I don't know if I've seen, is it 7?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet. Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Okay, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Andy doesn't want me to spoil it. He's giving me the death eyes.
I already know there's dragons in it.
I'm like, so
there's
it's like
dragons in the.
It's so cool because they're like basically. Have you seen episode 6?
Yes.
Okay, so they're auditioning people for dragons, basically.
Yes.
And like the way it happens, you're just like, oh fuck,
yeah,
and like, oh fuck. So that's basically you're gonna say in your brain or out loud.
Kind of like. It's kind of like, for those of you who haven't watched it, it's kind of like imagine the X Factor, but for dragons.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah. Except for less movement. You just kind of stand there and hope for the best.
yeah. And hope you don't die immediately.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So,
People have got it. People have got it. We've described it well.
Yep,
I think.
Yep. Recommend. It takes me a while to
stuff.
get into. It's like the story starts so slow. I don't know what it is.
It's crunchy.
But
I
then
mean, like
it's like, oh yeah, this is good. I'm into this.
It is. I think that.
And then it's over.
I know this is a thing because it's only 8 episodes, but like I think that I do appreciate that depth of like I think any show that really kind of delivers really good character development, relationships, proper good surprises and stuff like that. You have to like spend a bit of time. You have to like eat your vegetables, I guess.
Yes.
Of like character build up, figuring out, remembering who everybody was, what their relationships were.
Totally.
For those payoffs,
We started rewatching just Game of Thrones because I was like, all right, now, like, it's like sometimes I like to watch more than an episode and then I get angry and I'm like, I just want to binge. Let me binge.
Yep.
This 1 episode per week thing that we're doing again. Come on, studios. But like, if I have to hear a Lannister always pays his debts one more fucking time, I'm going to.
But that's the thing.
I know. They keep telling me. They keep telling me. Sometimes I was counting the other night, and it was like they said it 5 times in one episode, and I was like, "All right, you guys,
just get a T-shirt already, guys. That just says it on that.
I know.
Cut out the middleman.
Yeah, for reals. Have your friend do it with like Sharpie.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we have to pay royalties.
You could afford it with all your riches, apparently. But anyway, okay.
Sorry.
Good.
Blah blah blah.
That's good stuff. Yeah, I think so. I think we're ready to wrap up here, folks.
Yes,
Beth, could you tell everybody where they can find us, etc., etc.?
We are on bendypodcast.com. We're also on YouTube. We got like 80,000 views finally.
Nice.
I know. So check us out there. If you don't want to listen to the whole episode, you can. Andy edits these funny shorts where you get like 45 seconds of us being hilarious.
Yeah.
So feel free to check us out on YouTube or at bendypodcast.com.
Awesome. Good stuff, folks. Thank you for joining us as always, and we would like to remind you to stay bendy.
You know what I was just picturing? Myself as like a dragon, like doing the big inhale before I like blow you to smithereens.
That was nice for you because I was holding a burp.
Very uncomfortable.
So a real mix.
Do not
a real
recommend.
Mixed bag for you at home. No. All right, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Love
Bye.
you.
Bye.